Hello everybody, welcome to today's webinar. And in today's webinar, I'll be sharing with you guys on how to set up the TAW dashboard and what things you can expect from the TAW dashboard moving forward in helping you to find the trades. So one of the major things is, right, you need to ensure that your files are copy and pasted into the indicators folder successfully. Okay, so when you are able to do that, right, then you will see the files being populated here. Okay, if you have tried to copy and paste it inside, right, but you don't see it there, then what you can do is under the indicators, you click on it, you do a right click, you click on refresh. Okay, after you click on refresh, right, you should see all these things being popped up. Okay, that means essentially all the files that you have pasted. So for today's session, right, then you just need to ensure that your TAW dashboard left and TAW dashboard right has been pasted correctly. Okay, can? Okay, so if there's any question along the way, you just type in the chat box, then I'll reply you accordingly. Okay, so this is the first step you need to do. Now, once you have gotten that out or you already checked that, right, then the next thing is to go to this market watch here. Okay, let me see if I can circle it here. This part, this market watch. Okay, you click on it. So more importantly, I tend to choose a chart that I don't normally trade on, or for me to paste the TAW dashboard there. So that's the theory behind it. Okay, so for example, I don't trade SWI20, so probably I will use this chart, for example. So you just right click on it, and then you go to chart window. Okay, then you will see this. Okay, instead of loading the template, right, then what you need to do now is to load the TAW dashboard in. Okay, so how you do that is you have to go to this thing, this navigator. Hold on, let me circle for you. This one. Okay, which was where we pasted the indicators list just now. So I show you, which is here. So there's a left and there's a right, right? So it depends on whether you want to do the left side first or the right side first. It doesn't really matter. Okay, let's say you want to do the left side first. Okay, so there are only a couple of things that you need to change, essentially for a start. Okay, these will be the things that you need to change, the symbols. Okay, the symbols. And then the next thing that you primarily maybe will need to change, right, will be this one. Let me scroll down and show you one. This one. The column width. Okay, and the row height. This is to ensure that you get a comfortable view of the TAW dashboard. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example again. Okay, so of how it will typically look like. Okay, over here, hold on. Let me minimize this thing. Okay, so that it will look something like this. Okay, so that the row space, right, here, the space here will be adequate, and then you don't have to squint your eyes. And if ideally, right, they can be all within on the chart space, so that you don't have a case where, like, for example, something here gets chopped off. Okay, can? Okay, so I'm going to show you my dimensions. This is if you are using a 15-inch laptop. Whether you're using Lenovo or other brands, it doesn't matter. Mine is a 15-inch. So I'm going to show you my configuration. Okay. Then later I will show you how to access this configuration after you have, if let's say you want to modify something. Okay. Okay, so essentially you have to paste all the symbols that you want over here. Okay, now in pasting the symbols, right, there are two very important things you need to remember. Okay, one, after you type or copy the pairs, right, you need to ensure that there's no spacing in between the pairs. Okay, so I repeat, there's no spacing. Then the second thing you need to ensure is that they are all separated by a comma. Okay, if you accidentally put a comma and then a dot, right, then this thing will have problem. So it must be, let's say, one pair, then comma with no spacing, then the next pair you type in. Okay, so you can put as many as you want inside. Okay, so if you would like to have my symbol list, right, for your convenience, then I just put it in the chat for you. Okay, so this is my list. So if you want to have. Then the next thing I just wanted to share with you, if you're using a 15-inch laptop, right, like I mentioned earlier, this is my configuration. Okay, for the column width and the row height. 104, 125. To me, this is the most comfortable view after many trial and error. Okay, can? And then the rest, right, I don't do anything to it. Yeah, so I just keep it as it is. Okay. And usually those that things I didn't change, right, they are all the default setting. Yeah. Okay, can. Until here, any question? Okay, if you don't have, right, after you click OK, then what should happen is that you will see that this left side, right, will be populated. Okay, and what is the thing you will observe? There are quite a couple of things. Okay, first, you should see that all the pairs are printed here. Okay, now if for whatever reason, one of them you type wrongly. For example, you have pound cat, right? Let's say you went to type GBP CDA. Instead of CAD, you type CDA. Then this thing will be blank. Then it won't pop up. Okay, so if there is a blank somewhere, empty space, then you need to go and check your symbol list. Maybe something was not populated correctly or not typed in correctly. Okay, so this is the first thing you check. Second thing is, then the next column, right, you will see that there should be a buy or sell here. Okay, so sell will be corresponding to a green color box. That means a bearish wash and rinse. And then for buy, right, it will be magenta color here. Okay? Any question until here? Don't have, Okay, can. So moving on. So when you come to the H1 close, right? And then H1 trigger, H4 close, H4 trigger. Okay, so typically, what do they all represent? Okay, so one by one, first column. H1 close, right, will be the price in which there will be a H1 trigger here. Okay, so that means, right, for example, for Euro Pound, 155 hours and 38 minutes ago, there was a buy signal triggered at this price. Okay, so assuming this was the wash line, right? Then finally, when there was a H1 close, it closed at this price above this magenta line. Okay, so that's how you sort of read the thing. But essentially, you don't really have to bother very much about the numbers because we just need to know whether they actually light up here. Okay, so when something actually lights up, right, then that is when it will catch our attention. So if there's a H1 close, significant close, then there will be a yellow box here. And then this is when you can take the chance to go into the chart and do some inspection or analysis to decide for yourself, right, if later on there's going to be a H4 close at a certain timing, above a certain price, right, then whether or not you are going to take the trade. So we don't trigger based on the H1 for the Forex, but we use it as an indication for us to perhaps do some prep work, if possible, before the H4 trigger. Okay, so it is only upon the yellow box in the H4, this column, then you begin to execute your trade, should you want to trade that pair. Okay, any question about the color of the boxes, the green, the magenta, and the yellow? Don't have? Okay, can. Okay, so what happens is, right, if as the days pass, right, nothing happens, then you will realize that if price does not move to give you a new wash line, then typically these data will not be erased. Okay, that means these numbers that you see here. But once there is a new wash line that will be formed, whether magenta or green lines or whatsoever, then it will update accordingly. That means this column will start to change in terms of price. Okay, but if there has never been a trigger, then you know that that line is generally a new line. Okay, that was drawn. Okay, can. Okay, so if no question, similarly, now we go on to the right side. So what if after you have set up the left side, you want to do it on the right side? Okay, same thing. You click on this one, okay, and then you drag it in. Okay, so you drag into your chart. So you drag it in, for example, and then you copy and paste the symbols that you want, okay, as well as change the row height, something that is of a comfort level to you. Okay, so again, I'm going to show you my settings. Hold on. Okay, which is this. Okay, so if you would like to have my list, right, I can copy and paste and send you. Okay, so this is my list. So again, this one will be up to you to configure, so long as everything can be pasted on one chart comfortably for you to see. Okay? When the yellow highlighter indicated the hour, how does it correspond to Singapore time? Okay, so typically this is how it looks like. For T. So for example, right, later there is going to be a 9 p.m., let's say possible signal coming in, right? So what will happen is, right, if something is triggered at a H4, let's say Euro franc sell, then at 9 p.m., when this box lights up, it will be 00. So it doesn't correspond to, you have to count backwards to find the Singapore time, because this one only gives you in hours and minutes, right? When the trigger or the signal came in. So you have to count backwards. Then you will know exactly which, whether it was a 1 p.m. close, 5 p.m. or 9 p.m. close. Yeah. Okay. So every time when there is a 1 p.m., 5 p.m., 9 p.m., right, this thing, if it just freshly triggered, it will be 0.0. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so if something like this, right, will tell you that the signal came in 6 hours and 42 minutes ago. I think it was when Beanie was conducting her access time earlier in the day. I think perhaps this signal came in at 1. Yeah. Okay, can. Where was I? Okay, coming back to the TAW dashboard. Okay, so I've given you the symbols that I have. So I'm going to do a live demo now. Okay, because I opened the SWI20, right, I just want to show you once how you can do it. Which button to change the configuration? Yes, I'm going to show you. Okay, so you come to this blank chart, right? So you drag this in. Okay, so assuming this one, okay, let me go to what I sent you just now. Okay, I'm going to show you, then later I'll show you how to change. Okay, so here I change. So I pasted everything in. Okay, then here I change. If you're not using a 15-inch computer laptop, right? For example, you're using 30-inch or you're using a desktop, then you probably have to play with these few figures to see what will best fit your view. Okay, so you click OK. Then it will take time to load. Okay, then when it loads, right, then most of the time you will see this box alert also coming up. Okay, you just need to close it. Okay, now if you need to change something, then you press Control I. Okay, Control on your keyboard and then press letter I. Then this thing will come out. Okay, this thing will come out. Then you click edit. Then you can edit any of the fields here that you want. Okay? Can? No problem? Okay, can. So similarly, right, the right side is also the same. So you drag in the right. Okay, so now I put the right side. So you copy and paste. Then here you just change your row height. Then you just click OK. Okay. Then everything should populate like that. Okay. Then again, I just repeat one more time. If you want to change the configuration, then you just press Control I. But this time round, you will see that, okay, if you don't see Control I pop up, right, then you just click on the chart one time, like that. Then you press Control I again. Then it should appear. So now you can either alter the left or the right. Okay, let's say you want to alter the right, then you just go in and see what are the parts you want to alter. So for example, right, you don't want yellow box, you want blue box, also can. Yeah, up to you to configure. But these are the things that I don't really change. Yeah. Do we need to populate this dashboard on VPS server? Not that I know. So basically, right, your VPS server is really just meant for you to take ITP. So I usually just do this on the demo account or in one of my live account, right? I just have this dashboard up for me to do my analysis. So my main aim is to source for trade and then be able to open a chart and then do my analysis. That means draw my rectangles over there. Yeah. So the VPS side or the mini PC side, I keep it as clean as possible so I don't load dashboard there actually. Yeah. Okay, can. Any question until here? Okay, don't have. Now, you will realize that these pairs, right, can be curated. Meaning you don't have to, by default, follow the pairs that I monitor. You can curate your own. So for example, you monitor BTC, but let's say BTC is not on my chart. So you can add it in yourself. For example, right, see on the right side, I got no more rows to put in already because like at the end already. So maybe I'll just put on this side. Okay, so what then I will need to do is this. I go to Control I. Okay, so left side, I edit. Okay, then what you need to do is very careful. Because when it starts, when you double click, it will be everything highlighted, right? Then when you're not careful and you accidentally press delete or backspace, then everything will be erased. Okay, so you just need to be careful. So you go to the end, then click comma, again, no spacing, then you put BTCUSD. Okay, and then press OK. Okay, then it will populate. It will take some time, so you wait a while. Okay, then what happens is you will see here, BTCUSD here. Okay, can? Any question? Okay, my chart will be slightly different, but it'll be very similar to the Telegram signal, which I will talk about in a while. Yeah, for Dawn. Yeah. Okay, so this is the adding. So the same thing is also true for delete. Let's say you type in something and then you want to remove. So again, you just go to edit, let's say left side. Then again, you be very careful. You scroll towards the end. And then you just backspace lah. And then remember that when you backspace, backspace the comma also. Okay, and then okay. And then it will remove by itself. Then you don't see the BTC anymore. Okay, can? Okay. So this one is up to you to curate. Now, if you are new to Forex, what you can do is, in the modules, right, there is a list A, B, C. So what you can do is start with A and B, for example, or you just want to start with A, and then go with the flow. So as time goes by, right, you want to monitor more and more, then you can put in the B and the C. Yeah. Is it alright to see the Telegram dashboard and not load this into our MT4? I normally do the reverse, in fact, for Dawn. So that means I load this onto my laptop and then I refer to the Telegram signals if, let's say, I don't have access to my laptop. Yeah, so because the one in the Telegram group, right, unless it's exactly as per what you want, that means the same listing lah, that you are curating, then I think there's no issue. So with this, right, I will move on to share with you what I'm talking about. Okay, so if you go to your Telegram, there is this group called the TAW signals for TAR members. Okay, so what happens is every time there is a signal at 1:59, as in 1 p.m. 1 p.m., 5 p.m., 9 p.m., and then 1 a.m., right? Then you will get a screenshot of the TAW dashboard. Okay, but if this is what Bini has set to be the default. If yours is more or it is less, right, then it will be better that you have your own and you load it onto your own MT4. Okay, so I just give you an example lah. Okay, so this is what you can potentially look like. So for example, right, there was a sell in franc Sing just now. Okay, and then this one, Euro Aussie, and then Pound Aussie, and then Dollar Sing. So at a one glance, right, you are able to see that these are all the signals that was fired just now at the H4 timing. Okay, for today. So you can rely on this if, let's say, this list is exactly what you have. Okay, and it's not short of what you have been monitoring, okay, for your own pairs. Now, what happens is, for your commodities and indices, right, usually the timing in terms of close, right, is not 1:59. It will be 1 hour later after Forex. So for example, it will be 2 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. So what Bini did, right, was to do the right side of her dashboard here to be more of the commodities and the indices. Okay, now you realize that she used blue color here, okay, for differentiation purposes. So there's no difference between the blue and the yellow boxes here. They serve the same function essentially. Okay, so she's just trying to give differentiation by using blue or turquoise color boxes here. Okay, so in one day, right, you can receive signals at 1 p.m. and then 2 p.m. and then 5 p.m. and then 6 p.m. and then 9 p.m. and then 10 p.m. Yeah. Okay. Okay, any question until here in looking at the signals? So this is what we need to focus on in terms of our trading. Okay, as much as we can take the opportunity at the H1 level, if let's say there's a H1 alert to do our analysis and our prep, right? The reality is, right, sometimes they don't have a H1 alert and it will immediately lead to a H4. Example, right? So this one and this one has the same timing. Okay. Now, when it has the same timing, it goes to tell you that the time when the H1 candle wash below the day wash line, right? And the time in which there's a H4 close below the wash line and at the H4 level, right, it's the same time. That means you don't have a heads up or a warning to let you know that there's going to be a bearish Warrants reach because they happen at the same time. And why did that happen, right? It's because when you go to the Frank Yen chart, that long bar happened in that hour. Okay, so I'm going to go to the H4 to show you. This is the H4 one. Then if you go to the H1, right? So this was that very long bar that have that alert. Okay, so the H1 and the H4 therefore has the same timing, which happened at 2 hours and 54 minutes ago. Okay, can. So therefore, the best way to do your prep, I believe, right, will be either a few days before, or the best is like I was sharing with my the R community, right? If you can have the weekly practice, that means you will maybe spend your Saturdays and Sundays to have a look at the price action across all the charts that you are monitoring on the TAW dashboard, and then have a look at what may be the potential trades that you are looking to trade for the coming week. Then likely you will be a bit more prepared, even if there is no H1 close alert to give you a heads up. Yeah, so for me, I found that to be helpful so that I don't karang kabut. So that by the time when the H4 comes in, right, I already more or less know whether I want to take that trade or I don't want to take that trade. Okay. One of the things that we can look at in terms of the TAW dashboard in giving us a signal, right, is to look for consistency in the TAW dashboard. Okay, so for example, right, earlier today, Beanie was mentioning that there was a sell in Euro Aussie as well as Pound Aussie. Okay, that was triggered at the same time. That means 6 hours and 57 minutes ago. So with these two pairs, right, you probably could be suspecting one thing, which is that Aussie might be going up. Okay, because the commonality between Euro Aussie and Pound Aussie will be Aussie itself. So you may then be speculating that Aussie might be moving up. Okay, so this is what the TAW dashboard can essentially tell you. So then the next thing that you will probably also notice, right, is, for example, there was a franc yen sell here. And then there was a don't have other franc pairs. So if there's no other franc pairs, right, for you to have a look, because when you have a franc yen sell, two possibilities can happen. It could be because franc was going down or that yen was going up. Okay, now, so if there are no other alerts to help you, right, then what can help you is you have a browse at the other franc pairs or the other yen pairs to decide actually where the action is coming from. Okay, so I'm going to show you what I mean. Okay, so franc yen sell. So the first suspicion, let's say you have, is franc going down. So if franc goes down, then what will happen? So if you have pairs like Aussie franc and Kiwi franc, then typically you should see an up movement. Okay, so you go to the H4. Then you will see that there was this very, very long bar that happened. Okay, in line with franc yen having that very long bar that comes down. Okay, telling us that franc is weak, therefore Kiwi franc will be moving up because it's inverse relationship. Okay, so when that happens, you probably can speculate. But if you want to be more firm, then you can look across other franc pairs. Maybe you go into Aussie franc and see whether there's also a long bar scenario. Okay, so Aussie franc also have. And then let's say you go to CAD franc. See, CAD franc also have this long bar. So by the time you browse through a couple of similar pairs, right, then you can speculate that, perhaps the sell action in franc yen is coming from franc itself. And sometimes, right, it may also help for you to be alerted to the Forex calendar. Okay, so this is something that we do in our community, which is to have a look every week. And then we know that actually today, right, at this timing, there was going to be frank data that will be released. Okay, and then there was going to be a press conference at 5. So, which will explain why there was a long bar happening during that period, which was at the 5 o'clock close. Yeah, okay. Okay, somebody asked me, is it okay to trade using handphone or better to see on laptop? My answer will be to see on the laptop because it's easier to see. And if you use the mobile app, right, there are not a lot of drawing methods that you can do. That means you can't draw rectangles or triangles. Then sometimes you can't see further back when you look left, to the left side of the chart to find support and resistance. So I think using laptop is always the most helpful. And even after so many years, right, I still find that maybe because I'm getting old, but I find that laptop still has a more comfortable view. Yeah.